Finishing a game was boring. Hey, I'm long overdue for a devlog here on JellyCar Worlds. It's been several months since the last one, and so far in my previous devlogs, I've been able to find some kind of interesting theme that ties together the work I had been doing on the game at that point in time. For example, things like level design, difficulty, playtesting, structure, things like that. But now that I'm deeper into the production on JellyCar Worlds, the tasks on the project now have less in common and are generally a little less interesting. At least not interesting in a way that unifies them. So finishing a project is kind of boring. But that doesn't mean it's not important. So let's go over some of the things I've been working on recently on the project. Of course, this is a level-based game, and so work on levels continues, although now the launch content of the game, all 6 worlds, all the levels are complete and have been playtested. I'm feeling pretty good about the quality of the levels. I'll keep playtesting them and trying to refine the worst levels or levels that have problems, but overall I'm pretty happy with where that stands. Speaking of levels, I did make a few changes based on playtests and feedback. I got some feedback from a game design friend of mine that the power-ups in the game, which are a big part of the game, were a little underwhelming when you finally got them. Generally speaking, the power-up used in the next world you get to try out for the first time at the end of the first world. But you just sort of get it. There's no big fanfare about it. Their recommendation was to have points where that power-up is visible, but you can't use it yet, to give players a little more anticipation and also a reason to go back later once they've unlocked it. This was a fantastic idea, and so I made that change where now, in early levels, you can come across power-ups that you don't yet have access to, and it will indicate you need to complete a future world in order for them to activate. This gives players a mindset that every level has a reason to come back later. This also really solved the problem with one new mode I've added since the last devlog, which is long jump mode. Unlike the regular levels in the game where you're just trying to find the stop sign and maybe do the secret exit or maybe a challenge, long jump is a mode where you just see how far you can jump before you finally touch the ground, and your distance is measured. My vision for this mode is that it's a bit more replayable, and that as you play through the game, you'll come back with more skills or more abilities and be able to progress farther and farther with longer jumps. So this idea of power-ups that you can see but you don't have yet works perfectly for long jump mode. Here at the beginning of the long jump mode, there are 3 power-ups all lined up, and at the beginning of the game, you won't have access to any of them. But as you progress through the normal levels in the game, you'll unlock these power-ups, which makes you come back to long jump mode with a new ability that can extend your jump. I also got some new artwork into the game. I hired a 2D illustrator, an artist, to help me replace some of the icons and images in the game with higher quality ones. This has made a huge difference on the game. You can see here when you compare the before and the after, it was well worth hiring someone who could do the art much better than I could myself. Speaking of the way the game looks, I finally took the time to figure out what the UI was really going to look like in the game. UI is a tricky topic, of course, because not only do you want to fit the theme of your game and keep players in the style of your game, but you also want to communicate things clearly and effectively. Although the main game itself, it looks hand-drawn, I didn't want all the menus to also look hand-drawn, as that might get a little bit overbearing. So I went with this note card style, which is nice and clean and simple, but I think fits the theme of the game. Another big thing is localization. JellyCar Worlds will have 15 languages in it when it releases. And making that work involves making sure that the game can display different fonts, you can switch the language setting, you can detect the language setting of the device the game is being launched on, and of course you have a way to replace all the text with the correct text for each language. I did have a fun time looking for different fonts that tried to look a little bit hand-drawn, and you can see here some examples of the different fonts I chose. Let's see, what else have we been doing? Marketing stuff. As the game is getting closer to release, it's time to start figuring out things like the key art for the game. I started with an idea of taking an area of a level and putting lots of cars in it to convey all the different car designs and customization in the game. They look like this. But there was really no focal point of this image, and it was not great for key art. Then I tried doing a hand-drawn cartoon-style image that looked like this, which I think was an improvement, but maybe was a little too far off from what the game is actually like. Finally, I decided to focus on the flipbook and hand-drawn theme of the game and came up with this, which I actually modeled and rendered in Blender to make a 3D scene. Let me know what you think. The key art for a game is very important, and picking the right one, I think, is the way you make the best first impression for your game. Speaking of marketing, I did something I've never done before. I went to PAX. JellyCar Worlds had a booth at PAX West in Seattle, and for 4 days, people came and played the game pretty much non-stop. We had 2 demo stations set up, and it was a really great experience. Overall, players really enjoyed the game, and a lot of people stopped by to say something to the effect of, I remember this game. I played it on my iPod Touch when I was in middle school or something like that. And they were excited that a new game was being made, so that was really, really cool. I even splurged a little bit and made a special JellyCar flipbook to give away to people who played the demo at PAX, and everyone really liked this. I still have a few left over, so I'll try to find some use for these as we progress through the development of the game. PAX was also the place where I finally got to show that JellyCar Worlds will be releasing on Nintendo Switch. The game was playable at the event on Switch and PC, and overall it was a really fantastic event, and I made tons of changes to the game based on watching people play for 4 days straight. And by the way, the version that I made of the game for PAX is a demo version of the game, which I will be releasing as part of Steam Next Fest starting in October 3rd. And so everyone will have a chance to play the demo of the game at that time, and I look forward to feedback. And finally, the game is now in QA phase, so I've hired a company that's testing the game and sending me bugs. They're also doing compatibility testing, so trying the game on a variety of different devices to make sure there aren't surprises or that it doesn't run properly on different devices. This, of course, is super important, but it's not the most exciting thing because basically I'm just fixing bugs. I do have to admit, I kind of like fixing bugs, though. I sort of feel like a detective. I mean, of course, we know who the criminal is. It's me. I caused the problem. But how did I do it? And so figuring out a bug and then finally fixing it does feel a little bit like solving a case, and I do enjoy it from time to time. Okay, so testing, localization, new artwork, game mode revisions, changes to level design, PAX, demo. It kind of sounds like we're getting near the end of the production phase of the game, and that's true. While I still don't have a final release date yet, I do expect the game to be done soon. So what's next? Hopefully I'll be able to share the release information and final release platform information soon. I'd also like to do a devlog focused on the music of the game because we have the original composer, Matt McCarthy, back with tons of new songs and the classic songs all coming into the game. So hopefully we can talk a little bit about the music and how it's made. And I often get asked about how the physics of the game work, and so I am planning a video about the physics of JellyCar, so look forward to that. Okay, that's all for this time. Thank you very much for tuning in. Feel free to like and subscribe and do all the YouTube related things that make more people see these videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!